Hi, in this session, we're going to see what are dimensions, and there are two types of dimensions, private dimensions and public dimensions. And what is the difference between private and public dimension? And again, different dimension types are there in the dimension like generic dimension, account type dimension, organization dimension, or date, version, timestamp. These different type of dimensions are there. And also we will see we'll create one public dimension and we'll see how to import data into that public dimension. And also we'll try to import data into a model. So instead of loading from the direct from file, I'll try to place the file in Google Drive, and from there we create a connection to Google Drive and then import the data from there. So let's jump into the system. So what is like public dimension and private dimension? If I were to compare this with BW, in BW we have like field-based modeling. Like if it is like private dimension, that means like a field. It doesn't have any master data. It is specific to that like info provider. Similarly, here the private dimension is specific to that model. It will not have any master data here. Whereas public dimension, it's independent of the model. Like you can create public dimension and you can use that public dimension in number of models, and you can import data into that uh, public dimension like master data you can import there. For example, we have one analytical model sales order item. If I open here, okay, it's opened. Now we have measures and dimensions here. So these dimensions, these are all like private dimensions. They don't have any like master data. For example, if I select something like product ID, okay, it says generic type dimension. This is a private dimension. It uh, you can see there is something called generate dimension table. When we click this, it will you know it will ask us to like you want to create generate dimension table. That means you want to make it public dimension. Then you can add some properties, like properties nothing but like attributes and hierarchies, all these things. So this is currently a private dimension. There is no separate master data in this. Okay. And this is only for this model. Okay. And if I delete this model, this private dimension will also go. Whereas, suppose if you have public dimension and use that in any model, and when you delete that model will be deleted, but not the public dimension, because it's independent of model. It has its own master data, all these things. So what we will do here, we'll try to convert, I'm in a model, right? For example, I want to create a instead of this product ID private dimension, right? Instead of that, I want it to be public dimension. I can do that from here. For example, if I click on this generate dimension table to unlock master data management for dimension routing, when you click this, you'll say, okay, product ID, I want to make this as public. Okay, you can add properties if you want on hierarchies. I don't want that. Let's click on okay. Okay, now you see changes you are about to make will change the structure of the model. Please note that such changes can break the model dependence. Suppose what it is saying is, suppose you on top of this model you have any, if you have any stories, since we are making changes, right? We are changing the product ID from private dimension into public dimension. So it is saying that stories might get impacted. But okay, if you see here, earlier this product ID is used to look like this, like private dimension. Now you see it's changed. So this is a separate uh, dimension, product ID, public dimension. And here you can see the look, it's changed completely. Earlier we used to get the property, all these things. If I click this, and here you can see the product public dimension, you can give description. See, once you create public dimension, you can like you'll get other things like, right, data access controls you can define, and data locking ownership you can define. Okay. And then if you want to create properties, nothing but attributes, suppose product ID, product category, product uh, like product descriptions, all these things you can create. Okay, and hierarchy also you can create. Okay, now let's save this. See, as I said, public dimensions are independent, right? So let's go back to let's go to modeler here. Okay, in the modeler, we are under models, right? We can go to public dimension tables where you see this product ID, which we created now. You see, this is a separate public dimension. You can open this and you can see the data here. Suppose I close this in the left panel. You see, it has two compound member ID and descriptions. Since we we have loaded data into analytical model and we created this public dimension from there. That's why the data is coming here from model. Okay, and it has only description. And you can add the properties when you create, like if you want. Okay, so now we'll go back again. What we will do, let's go back to our model, sales order items. And also one more thing, when you change this, like when you add any public dimension or when you change private dimension to public, you can see this globe symbol represents, that means it's a public dimension. Okay, so like this. Now I don't want this model to have this public dimension product ID. I can delete that. So when I'm deleting, it doesn't mean I'm deleting the public dimension itself. It doesn't mean I'm deleting the public dimension itself. The public dimension is not, it will be there. Only thing is I'm deleting the public dimension. I'm using only private dimension again. Okay. Now I will change this. I'll save this. So this is private dimension. Like it's how it looks. And if you want, I can go back and show you the public dimension. And it's still there. Okay. Uh, this is model independent. This is depend like we can use this in multiple models. Next thing I want to show is example. If I go back to my model again, what we do is I want to delete this. Uh, I want to delete this thing. and remove. Deleting this dimension will impact your model as well as its related objects and data. Consider the following dependence. So basically, you're deleting, right? If any stories, this model contains data, and if any stories are there, that will be impacted. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, I'm deleting it now, and what we'll do is, and I will add. You can add from here, add dimension. Here, what I want to add is like here it is asking add new dimension table or add existing dimension table. Since I have product ID, I can add that existing dimension. I'll select a existing dimension table. I'll go inside. So this is my product ID. I will select this. Click add. Since I am adding this product ID now, it should be okay. It has values, but let's check. I will add this and I will save this model. So what it is saying is, since we have this data in this model and we deleted the previous private dimension, now we are adding a new column, which is our public dimension, and it will not have any data because we have to, I mean, it's an empty, right? New column, like it's like we are adding new column, and it will be blank. So for example, I mean, normally we don't delete uh, these columns and all when there is a data. So we'll select this, or else let's do one thing, cancel this and go back. What I will do is, whatever the public dimension I have created, I'll delete that. Okay, and I'm going to create again. So you can click here. I want this product ID. See, when you are creating public dimension, you will get only these three options. Your dimension type should be generic, account, or organization, only these three. Whereas in case of private dimensions, you will have like generic, account, organization, date, time, stamp, version, all these things. Okay, so I'm going to select generic and I will say product ID. Description also I'll give same, and see, you can enable data access control, hide hierarchy node for users without authorization, enable responsibility, enable currency. When you click on this enable currency, enable responsibility, it will add these properties. Okay, but I don't want now. I will just create it so that what it will do is only this member ID and descriptions. Okay, and when you are creating a public dimension, by default it will add this has unassigned one member. Okay, so that's all. I don't want to create any other properties or hierarchies. I'll save this. So now my dimension is empty. I don't have any data in this. Now let's go back to our model and I will add this public dimension uh, to my model. So I will delete this product ID. And okay, I want to delete this and I will add a dimension again. This time I'll add this my public dimension and add existing dimension. I already have this dimension table, so I'm selecting this. Go inside. I'll select my newly created product ID. I'll click add. Now we don't have any data in the product ID. And when you are adding this to this analytical model, which already has data, this time it did not ask me because there is only one. So if you want to see, if you click the data foundation view, see its product ID is empty. Okay. So, okay, now let's save this first. Yeah, when I'm trying to save, it is asking me to select one value. I will select this as only. But in real time, you don't do this deletion when data is there. You don't do any deletion of columns when data is there. Okay, it's okay. Now what I will do is, see, when we are creating model, we can create with data, without data, right? I already created this from flat file. So with the data, I created this model. I want to show you like data loading also. So what I'll do is I'll delete the data from this model. So for that, you click on delete facts. So you can do selective deletion also based on this particular column. Okay. Also the ID, I'll select all numbers. Clear selections. I'll select everything because I want to delete everything. So click OK. Do you really want to delete all the facts of sales order items? Yes. I want to keep this model as empty. Okay. So that I can import the data. Earlier we created this model by using file. So I don't want to do that. I've deleted everything now. So data is deleted now. We'll go here. You can see looks like your model doesn't contain any data. When you add some data, it will show up here according to your model structure. Okay. So if I want to import some data into model, I have to switch to data management. You can go from here, or currently we are in model structures where I mentioned measures are there. And here, if you see, we have three different things: model structure, calculation, and data management. Calculations is basically if you want to create any calculated measures. Close this window. So you can create calculated measures or commercial measures here. So these three sections are under this calculations. And there is something called data management. This is mainly used for importing data, import jobs, export jobs, and data integration APIs. Okay. So right now I want to import data from Google Drive, not from the file. For that, I have created a connection to my Gmail Google Drive. So click on import if you want to import. So basically Google Drive is cloud, right? You will select this Google Drive. Suppose if you don't have connection, uh, target model is we are trying to import into this model. Suppose if you have not created the connection, you can create also from here. You come here, create new connection. Basically, Google Drive connection is simple. It will just ask your mail ID and password. If you provide them, it will connect. See, right now I have already connected to my Google Drive, so I'm selecting my account. I'll click on next. So it should show files available in my. So I placed some files in this. Since this is sales orders, I'm going to select this is sales order items, right? Yeah, items. I'll select this sales order item file and use first as column headers. That's fine. Click on next. Let's see what happens. You see, under the imported jobs, still processing. Sales order job has been created. This is just job creation only. It's not loaded any data. Okay, first time when you are trying, it will create import job. That's what it is saying. This is the job name. Query sales order. This is Excel, Google Drive. Unscheduled. We are not scheduled this import yet. Last run, not yet run. As I said, it just import job creation. It's not it. Loaded any data. For that, you have to, because see, try to understand this. we have created a structure in SAC. We don't know what structure is there in the file. Okay, so we have to do all those mapping and all these things. So we have to for that, click on setup import. When you click on setup import, what it does, so it says prepare data. There are different steps here. So we are in prepare data. So prepare data. This is your file which is in the Google Drive. Okay. We are not sure like how many columns are there because we know we have created a model structure with some dimensions and measures, and then this is source structure. If you want to add something like you can do transformations here. Okay, for example, if you click here, see you can concatenate two columns or split a single column into two, or you can extract some part of the data and then replace if you want to replace something with other. Then in this case, if you want to change a bit of filter, if you want to filter some records, all these things. Okay, and if you want some advanced uh, like extra like transformations, you can do using custom expression editor. And this is you. There are different transformations you can do here. Okay. So for now, what we can do is there is a product ID something is what you can do. What we do is just to show you this, click on this split on hyphen. So basically if you see product ID, we have MB hyphen 1034 CB hyphen is common. So I'm splitting on based on the hyphen. So it create two columns. You can see here product ID is there. Now after split, apart from product ID, it created two more fields, product ID 1, product ID 2. So you can select this and you can give the name as, for example, product group, I will say, or category. Let's say product group. And then for the other, I will say product number. Okay. So like that, you can do some transformations. So for showing, I have created like I have split this. Okay. After that, just save it. Then click on next. Now you see these are the source columns, and these are right side is your target model structure. If you see, it's automatically mapped based on the field names. Since my file and my analytical model dimension measures contain same names, it's already mapped. If anything is not mapped, it will come here. And if you remember, in file we don't have version, but when we create any model, version will be automatically added. But if you see here, it's mapped automatically with the default value public.actions to all rows. Okay, if you cancel this, it will come here. So you see, version is mapped, not mapped. So what you can do is you can set a default value public.action, because that is what we have in the version dimension. And if you see, we have split this public product into product group and product number. Is we don't have those dimensions in our model, that's why they are not mapped. Okay, and then this is mapped to next. Then say, you can go to next once everything is mapped. Okay, let me see one more thing. Do we have any option to, for example, I will unmap where is my product ID? Yeah, I'll unmap this. Do we have any other options here to filter? show all dimensions. Okay, nothing is there. Set default value. Now I have a product column, so I will mark this. Okay. Click on next. So we are in now model properties. Prepared data is completed. Map fact model map properties. So dimension properties. Public dimensions are excluded from the list below. To update their members in properties, manage your imports directly in the each one. So if you want to do import and manage the dimension, you can directly do. Okay, and version, all rows have been assigned the default value public dot actual for version. So here nothing. Click on next. So here also check the quality, and here you can see product ID, dimension restrictions. Review the issues. There are some issues below to make sure values are not rejected. Okay, member does not exist. Go to dimension. So basically what it says is if we have created a public dimension but it's empty, there is only one unassigned has values there. What you are trying to load in, when you are trying to load into model, this product ID is a public dimension and it checks whether this master data exists in the dimension or not. Basically, this is a referential integrity. Normally in BW, when you are trying to load data into an ADS for info cube, if the master data is not there, then it will throw error, right? Master data does not exist. So that's what you don't have. It says you don't have any data in the public dimension. Members does not exist. Go to dimension BX1013 and has 41 more values to update the member. It's saying first update the master data for this public dimension, then import this into. So what we do is we'll save this and exit here. We'll come back and import again. But first we will go and import data into public dimension. Okay, let's go to modeler public dimension. So here also for public dimension also we can import the data. So okay, where is the option? Yeah, here we are under dimension table. When I open the public dimension, here you have data management. In case of model, we have like model structure, calculation, data management. Here dimension table, data management. Here you can see this sources. Here you can create import. So I'll just go and import data. I'm not going to import again from the file. I'll use the same Google Drive. So data source, cloud, Google Drive. I will select my Google Drive connection. Go to photos. So this is it. So this is a product. So I will select product file. Okay. Okay. So again, here this is a source file. You can see product ID type. These are all the file columns. Okay. So it's like data preparation. Again, you can do transformations and you can create formula, create calculated columns and transpose column to rows. All these things are there. If you want, you can do. I'm not going to do anything here. And here right side, you can see mapping requirements. It says one issue, one attribute required mapping. So basically this, whatever you see, these are the target, like dimension, whatever public dimension we have created, you have seen, right? We have dimension ID, member ID, and description, those columns. And this is file. You need to map these stars means that is a mandatory field which you need to mark. Basically, dimension ID is nothing but our product ID. You have to map. So I am going to map from here. Basically, what I'm doing is I am selecting selecting product ID column from my file to be mapped to this column of my public dimension. And description also, if you have description, you can map, but I don't think I have, so I can leave that as it is. So you see, now issue is fixed. Again, it was showing there is one issue. Then finish mapping. Have you finished mapping and editing your data? Your data will be imported to the dimension. See, when we are importing to analytical model, it was first created import job, but it did not import. After that, we went and click on import job. Then it allowed us to, see the data and mapping all this. Whereas here, once the data comes, you do your mapping. When you finish, your data will be loaded. Okay, and here you see last update. It's refreshing now. Yeah, update is product XLSX imported successfully, 42 rows imported. Okay, if you go back to your dimension table, you'll be able to see the data now. You see, this 43 something records are loaded. And I will go to data management again. This is the import job for my dimension. So what I can also do is I can schedule this job on a regular basis. When you go and select here under the calendars, we have different options here. Edit query is disabled, schedule settings, view mapping and transformation. If you click here, you can see mapping target, dimension ID attribute, mapping column, and then you can delete this import job. What you can do is under calendar, you can schedule this. None means it's not scheduled. Once if you want to schedule start day and time zone, you have to give at what time you want to schedule. Repeating means on a regular basis. Suppose for example, I want to schedule it daily, every one day, from today till, I'll say, for example, July 11th till 11th, I'll schedule time zone if you can select. And I want to schedule at 2023. Okay, 23 IST time. Okay, so that it will run every day at this time. Okay, and then suppose what is this model refresh? Models may refresh this dimension source if it hasn't been refreshed in a specified amount. Suppose you are not refreshing this dimension master data on a regular basis, so it can update from it can refresh from the model data. In a model, suppose we have data from there, and this data can be refreshed if you set this time here, allow refresh after every. So, but anyway, here you don't want to do that now. I'll save this. Okay. Now you see it is scheduled daily every day at 23 IST. Till when you can select. And one more thing, I'll select this, and if I go here, there is something called set dependency. Set dependency means suppose let's say this is only dimension ID. Suppose if you have text from other file, you can also create import job and load that text, and then you can set dependency. Okay, first load my attribute and then text. that thing you can do here. If we go here, so you can you see here only product ID is there, right? If you have another import job, you can tell that okay, after first complete this one, after that then go to next import job, like that. Refresh all in order. Okay, and also stop if any fails. So you can keep that, like suppose first import job is fail, then it will not go into other. Okay. Okay, now I have data in my public dimension. Just refresh. Okay, now I will go to models. Now let's try to do that import again. Now we have data in the public dimension, so it should not, it should check and okay, it should not give any error because data is already there. So let's go to data management. Yeah, here select this, import data. Click this, edit, import settings. Go again, import settings. So it has come again to this prepare data. Simply I will split down. I will quickly change this. So, okay, click on next. Okay, they sorry, they were already there. Okay, let me go back to product ID. Okay, they were already there. Let me delete this. Earlier we saved it, so we don't need to split again. Click on next. Okay, product group, product number are not mapped because we don't have that in the model structure. I'll click on next. Here we don't have any. Click on next. Here we got the issue that referential integrity. It checks the public dimension, says there is no data. So it asked us to load. We loaded that. So we should not get any errors now. See, no issues found. Data loaded, data successfully validated. Then run import. Well, you see here when you click on run import, it giving this uh, different options. You are about to create your model with following settings. Okay, import method is update, reverse sign by account type of dimension update enabled, replace empty ID cells with hash values now. So you can change the settings basically. See, import settings are update, append, clean and replace selected version data, clean and replace subset of data. So these are different options we will discuss later. Okay, for now, let me take a screenshot. Okay. For now, we'll just click on finish. We'll discuss that later. So now your job will run. We need to load data into. You can see here, refreshed successfully. 1930 rows are imported. Okay, you can go to your model structure. You can see the data here. So data is imported. Okay. Now let me go back to data management. So I can also schedule this step similar to our, and here you have different options here, import settings. This is for again like what we have seen earlier. Okay, but let's not discuss that now. You can schedule this job again, repeating. I'll say daily. So once from July 9th to let's say 11th, and I want to schedule this at 23:30 because we schedule our dimension import at 23, that is master data. Normally we update master data first, then the transaction data. So that referential integrity means we don't face those errors like data is not available. So I'll save this. Here also you can check the dependency, all these things. Okay. That's what about like we will discuss later like what are these generic dimension, account type dimension, organization dimension, what happened, because when you are going to create public dimension of type generic, it will not give any system generated properties. You can add properties if you want, but it will not give any system generated properties or error. Whereas if you create account dimension or organization dimension, normally if you create an organization dimension, it will add person responsible and currency, these type of system generated properties, and you can add some other properties if you want. Similarly, when you create account type dimension, it will add many system generated properties and all these things. So yeah, we'll check that later. Thank you. That's all for now.